Well, hello! Welcome back to the Homeschool Shopping Network. Today's video is done in collaboration with Danielle's Perfect Home. Great videos. I reached out to her a while ago because I loved her book selections that she had, and since then we've collaborated a couple times, and now we're doing it again, and I'm very excited about this. Well, this is our second collaboration, and I hope for many more. Now today I'm going to show you how I plan and include 42 subjects for 75 children for pennies. Okay, so why don't we just get to it? Now, first of all, I'm pulling out my planner right here so I can show you in it. I've honestly looked through 40 plus planners, and the problem is I'm very picky when it comes to a planner. I'm very picky. I just have so much I want to include, and I don't want any wasted space. Like I didn't want any excess pages and things like that. So last year I did it on computer. This year I had read so much stuff about wanting to get off digital and going back to the pen on the paper and things like that, and how good it is for your brain and journals and all this stuff. I'm not really a journaler. However, so that's why I did. I decided, you know what? I have all these books. Let's go with this. So I'm going to take you inside and show you basically how to prevent overwhelm, which is kind of the series that Danielle and I are doing, which is when you're planning, it's so easy to get overwhelmed, but what do I do so I don't get overwhelmed with all those, with all the subjects you want to do and all the extracurricular things or activities that you want to do and things like that. So I'm going to show you. Okay, so first of all, this is a look inside my planner. Ooh. All right, so right off the bat, let me move you into the light here. So right off the bat, we have the first page is field trips. Now keep in mind, the most important thing to remember, when I started this, I didn't realize it. But then I watched a video, I forget which video, and it explained how planning is self-care. And it's intensely creative if you allow it to be. So I'm going to show you a couple different things and a couple different ways to plan. So this one I first started, so it's not as creative. This is field trips, right? June, July, August. I love that. The ultimate field trip. These are book focuses because there's 100 books that I want to read, and so I just have to choose one per month. These are Christian Lights, like we finished Harry Potter. These are Christian Lights. I homeschool year round, but it's a very relaxed schedule. So this is how you can kind of, pardon my language, but half-ass plan or half-ass educate your children, yet, like I did 6 science curriculums last year, so still educate them quite well. So these are just craft focus ideas because I'm not really good at crafts per se. But I picked up a bunch from the library, and masking tape day just says it all. You just give my youngest some masking tape and he's like, this is great. So also, so there's 2 children, one that is gifted in a certain subject. And so they're ahead in some subjects and they're behind in other subjects, if you will, because there's no handwriting going on for these children. The neurodiverse children, if you have any sort of specialty at all, handwriting is not their strength. So that's a separate subject, which means you kind of got to split up language arts. So when I say I have 47 subjects to plan, these are all my subjects here. Okay, so their grade level is about 2nd or 3rd. But keep in mind, okay, so let me just explain something to you. So these are the subject areas, and these are the curriculums I have chosen. This is all done in erasable pen. These are all erasable. When you are at Walmart and you are looking for erasable pens, don't read all the packages. That'll take you forever, or Meyer, or wherever it is you go. Just look for pens that are like the top of pens that are like this, because regardless of the company, the erasable part will look like this in the package. Sometimes these are markers. The marker will look like that, but see, it's all different. There's no pen lids because they're all clickers generally. They're usually clicker pens, and it's Japanese technology that makes it erasable. And it's, I'm sure you've seen it by now. Like, this is not a new thing. However, intensely creative. Okay. So, Locke, Finnegan, and there we go. These are what we're working on. Now, keep in mind that I do family subjects, but I don't do family subjects. Family subjects that I have done, I'm talking about Gather Round. I'm talking about, I bought every single one of the Good and the Beautiful family subjects, and realize that they are not for me. They are not for me. The reason is they're a little more complicated. What you want to do to cover a lot of ground is take subjects, take individual books, and use them as family subjects. So let me show you in a couple examples just to make it clear. Okay, so this is the box. See anything starred here? These are family subjects if I have starred it. there is a star next to it. It's a family subject, which means I throw it into this bin here. Let me pull this bin over, but these are the two that I'm working on this week. So subjects that you didn't think could be family subjects can very well be family subjects. So grammar and punctuation. Also, when you're doing any type of planning, I recommend page markers. They're $1. They're $1.47 or something at Walmart. Okay, so right now we are talking about, but let's go back to the beginning. So write a name for each person, begin each name with a capital letter. So see, there's no writing done because we do it orally. Because again, the handwriting thing. So a girl, let's come up with names, right? So, because a name begins with a capital letter, okay? So rule 6, the names of people and pets begin with capital letters. If you do get the Evan Moore, you got to get the one that looks like this page. If you decide to go with this, if you're looking at this and you're like, yeah, that looks pretty good. Let me clean my lens. I think we're okay. Okay, so this is what I do during breakfast. I am not great at like sitting down and doing a lot of table work. The exception being breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm sitting there anyway. Snacks, we're sitting together, right? So that is when I educate. If you have an ADHD child, if you have children that are young, that's probably one of the best ways you're going to educate as well, is when they're eating. This is the story of Jesus' people. I buy both Christian and secular materials for use in my homeschool. And so this is, again, something we can read together. Okay, another subject. These are all the ones that I do together with them. So, So these are some books that I'm doing for the upcoming year. Word Fun. It's vocabulary. Mrs. Wordsmith. This is a science textbook. This will be my first year doing this science, the Harcourt science. It's my first year doing this science. But anyway, so what I would do is, because I am also doing a Becca science, is you sit down and planning an investigation. I would read through this. So you want to have, the key to doing this is to use textbooks that are interesting and that at the end of a chapter and that have, see, picture to text ratio. You don't want a lot of text. You don't want a lot of text when your kids are young and when you're sitting down. And then what I like is that at the end of chapters, it has it better, because I've never used this before, I'm not really sure, but the one back here, where is it? Right here. This is the Abeka. This is level 3. So we're going to do grades 3 and 4 science this year because my kids are not at the same level. So we'll do grade 3 and 4. They don't have to be at the same level to do a family subject. Like when I'm doing this grammar one over here, I mean, the youngest is like not going to catch on to this stuff as quick as the oldest one is, right? But that's not the only time you're going to do grammar and punctuation. This isn't the only time you're going to cover science for the most part, or these concepts. They continually cover like the same concepts, just at a different level, usually as you get older. But see, then my kids can move on to, when they get, whenever I feel it's right, we'll move on to easy grammar. And so it's kind of a repeat, or the IEW, I got that too, right? Or the Galaxy grammar. I mean, I got it all. There's not a subject that I haven't bought or a book I haven't bought. But back to this is that at the end of it, so what I'm saying is if you miss one chance, there's not one chance. You have multiple chances to teach them things. So is that at the end, they have questions that you answer. At the end of a chapter, they have questions. I don't get the teacher manuals for these, for Rebecca, because that raises the price significantly. And the thing is that if we can't figure out an answer, well, then we'll just go back and reread it, right? Now, I do make a note of anything I think is super important that I want them to remember, any definitions I want them to know, and I will write that down separately just so we can review it later. I have a whole video on that. So I do that, but I don't do workbooks generally. That's just not a thing. Okay, so these are family subjects, so I'm putting them in here, but this is this week, so let me keep that out so I don't totally confuse myself. And we'll put that back in there. Then I have individual subjects in these bins. These are individual subjects: art, social, emotional. We got some math going on. We got different stuff in here, stuff from the dollar store, their handwriting stuff. These are individual. Okay. Now that we've covered that, let's go back. Now let's flip the page. I know, you're like, this lady. I know. How do I get anything in it? I know. I wonder myself. So then in this book, we have curricula book completion list, name, notes, and rating. We have book idea list. If your kids have problems reading, Craft Right Brain Readers, that'll solve that for you real quick. I'm telling you, Craft Right Brain Readers with the flashcards. This is, I think, a really strong reading program. I also do, I do several, like BJU Press reading programs and stuff. But however, so This is like their individual readers, but I also have readers that I want them to do on their own, books that they can choose from that are at their grade level. And I filled a bin with some and I build with other ones. I don't record that because that just feels like wasted time. It just feels like I don't need to. It's not like I don't know. Okay, if you want to pick a book, go read from there. These are personal and homeschool goals. Lachlan, Finnegan, and so these are the goals that we're working on. This, like emotional regulation, increasing exercise, more showering. These are just personal things that I want to work on. And then if I wanted to, I would just break it down into a monthly calendar and be like, okay, this month, this is kind of what I'm going to focus on. One thing at a time. All right. Okay, these are themed days. Oh, I also have like a little bit of meal planning in here because it's important for me that they eat pretty healthy just because of certain diagnoses, eating pretty healthy. Okay, and then we have like these are different themed days, like playground, library, that sometimes I do and sometimes I'm not going to do. But just when planning my weeks, I'm going to get to the week planning. This is the spelling list that I'm working on. These are the spelling cards that I am working on. This was the best way I found to do spelling. This is our first year doing spelling. So even though like my one child, he has like a grade 6 reading comprehension, due to certain things, we're just starting spelling. And so these are based on the spelling you see, and I just wrote down flashcards like mat, rat, sat. So this is what we worked on the first week, a week and a half, and now I've just added in these. I left out bad just because of the kind of dyslexia. The B and the D might be a little confusing, so I thought let's bring that in later. But those 3, so just working on basic spelling lists based on the spelling you see. So I also wrote that down here, right, because I got off the internet, wrote it down. This is the school task and the schedule. So I teach during breakfast, lunch, and snack. All right, those are my main meals, but then they have their individual subjects. But these are other things I wanted them to do. Like I wanted them to do like math games and piano, creative writing. You know what I mean? Like there's other stuff that I want them to do that isn't necessarily per se school. So what do? I'll show you what I do. So these are iPad games, iPad afternoon, Sunday afternoon. When it comes to playing, let me pause this before I get to the main stuff. Let me pause this to tell you one thing. So this is a book. This would be a compendium because this contains all your homeschool stuff. It's a compendium. You could also do, this is, because we're covering one country a year on Wednesday, which I will tell you about. This, I have another book where I write down basic stuff, the Greek flag, okay, and then Greek mythology that I want to cover. Like it's very rough. I have no interest in printing this up. It's just the bare bones that I do. So that would also be a compendium. A compendium is one subject. Whereas, so this is like, for example, this is my Florida trip, planning my Florida trip down there. So this is also a compendium because you can use any notebook, right? So the cost to fly my husband down there to meet us, the budget, kind of just getting an estimate of what everything's going to cost, the places we're going to go. That's a compendium. But this, it says journal, but it's just a book I had laying around. Science does not know its debt to imagination, Ralph Waldo Emerson. This is a compendium. Then it has Florida in it because this is when I first started planning Florida before I moved into a book. Florida, tree people, anything I want to remember is like in here because when you write it down, you're going to remember it. So this is a commonplace book. Means anything and everything can go in it. It's not a compendium because it's not one subject. But I want my kids to have these when they're older because handwriting, oh my gosh, writing things down in a book, you remember it so much better than typing it for some reason. So even if you don't reference it on a regular basis, it doesn't matter. So this is like craft ideas. So this is another book that I was toying with. This is $2 from, they have them lined, they have a grid, craft ideas. So this one I started getting a bit more creative with it. This is the squat, like every day that I do squatting, because I think squatting is super important. I saw a whole thing on it. I mark it down. And then next is, did I play a game with Lachlan? Because I want to play a board game with him or some type of game every day with the youngest. And this is going to be my playground or hike tracker. Do we playground or hike every day? I was thinking of doing that. And then in here, I did like another, this is like an attempt at a weekly layout. So June and July, you could put stickers on it. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday because my husband and I just do something with the family on Saturday. And then to be done, you know what I mean? Like just, this is, so I'm building the ideal planner there. But let me keep, so there's a lot of different ways to do it is what I'm saying. It is an art form. It is relaxing. These are iPad games that I have decided, I went through all of their games that I've decided I'm okay with. and that I've decided I'm not okay with. So they can play well, not okay with is off the list, but some that I am okay with for Sunday afternoon for brief periods of time. We'll see how that goes. But these are okay, like Inventioneers, Code Sparks, and Bloxels. I had to pay $29 a year for that, and I had to pay, I don't know, more for the Code Spark, but I got it on Black Friday. And so those are coding things that they can do, and they have the old pixelated games, which I'm okay if they play those. Canva, they create things. Of course, PBS Kids games. Fine, knock yourself out. Here's the thing. TV shows that they can watch are TV shows I watched as a kid, because I saw this study again that said that if you watch programs that like you watched when you were a kid, they're a lot different than programs now, because now they have the jump cuts and the editing and the fast things. And before they were slow and boring. So the main thing is nothing you teach will be more interesting than Disney or than Roblox if you like playing Minecraft, whatever. I have a big problem with Roblox. Who doesn't, right? So that's why there's a question mark there, because is it okay that they play one or two boards on there with each other? I'm so not feeling comfortable with that. But anyway, my rule is no ads and no micro purchases, because ads makes my youngest go crazy because he always wants to play the ad. And so I was like, it's just the whole thing. So we will see how this works out, because Google Earth, Apple Music, GarageBand, they can do Libby, the app, D&D and Beyond, which I think they'll get bored of. But anyway, so we want them bored, because homeschool is never going to be more interesting than Minecraft. Think about it. If you have your cell phone, what's more interesting than your cell phone? Right? Like, our cell phones are pretty sweet. So I'm trying to watch TV on, the exception being at night, but watch TV on the big screen, not on my phone where I can switch things if they bore me. Okay, easy versus to memorize. I'm trying to go back to paper. Easy versus to memorize. Do unto others you would like them to do it to you. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and God is love. So I was just thinking of having us memorize a couple of those this year. We'll see. Now let's go to, so my point is you can put anything in and you can rip anything out. So this is this week's. So that's where this is. I just pull it open. This was last week's. This is our schedule. Breakfast, the kids play together. That's on them. Good luck. It's not your job to entertain your children. This is something I repeat to myself on a daily basis. Then morning activity, then lunch, and then math and reading. This is like table time. I call it. They're individual subjects. So table time, individual subjects. Okay, so let's look at, so when I sit down, we're going to have a manner card. These are from, I wish they were labeled, but I forget who. And if I remember, I will tell you. But, I mean, a manner card's a manner card. And so we're going to read through a random manner card because they're not even in order, which, I've taken them out of order and I have no interest in sitting down and putting them back. So I just grab one randomly and that's what we focus on for the week, okay? So we do that while we're eating breakfast. And then lately, the way I decide what to teach that week is I look through this bin. What do I want to cover? That's why I went through so many curriculums. It's just because, I don't do family subjects. And now you know what I kind of mean by that. I don't do things that require a lot of work. There's not a lot of experiments going on that I'm doing. So I'm checking that right there. Because if a kid sees an experiment, he wants to do it. My experiments are some curriculums, because I've bought pretty much every science curriculum, have a ton of experiments. Like Sunlight has way too many. I was like, that's out. I like concise information, not a lot of wasted time, which is why Abeka's good, because it's made for a Christian homeschool, or not Christian, a Christian school. So there's not a lot of experiments in that. But anyway, I decided, you know what? This is level 1. I want to finish this up so we can start level 2. So that's what I'm going to focus on for the next week, right? So spelling, remember I showed you those cards, and grammar, and then fun books, whatever fun book I want to read. Tuesdays was library day. So we're usually finishing up library books. And then I got that. So I decided to do that for all week till we finish it. Then at lunch, I started doing geography day. So today we did, there's board game day, creative writing and movies. So I took stuff from that list, that secondary list I showed you of all the activities. So this could be chess and movie, board game day or chess and movie, whatever activities I want to get done there. And then of course we have lunch. We could do science. It depends. If it's summer, it doesn't matter. And then I reverse plan. If you have a calendar, so every single day I teach something or do something. But if you have, the only thing I have outside this book, and that's because I didn't feel like drawing it in this book, was a calendar. And that's another reason why I hate planners, is I do not need to know all these Canada Day, Chinese days, Spanish days, Ramadan days. I don't need 1,000 holidays. And I'm a dual citizen, so I celebrated the crap out of Canada Day, okay? And Independence Day this week. I'm going to do that. But I don't need to know Groundhog Day, National Freedom Day. I don't need to know these things. Valentine's Day, yes, I want to know that. But beyond that, so I'm kind of picky about what's in my planner. I'm just, yeah. But what you can do is like reverse plan. So highlight every day you teach down here. If they're like, okay, 180 days you have to teach, well, then highlight down there every time you've taught. Because I don't keep this schedule like for the full year. But the only thing I do keep is math and language arts. I'll explain to you that in a second. Yeah, math and reading. They have to do every single day regardless. Either way, they're doing some reading every day and then math. Here's the thing with math. In case you don't know, I have a real problem getting it together for table time. I don't know if I just put such a big amount of pressure on me for all of us. And table time is all of us sitting down or them sitting down one at a time and working with me on individual subjects. I have a huge problem getting this together. I don't get it together a lot. Which, again, at the beginning of the week at Sunday, I could sit down and look through this bin. That's what I'll do and be like, okay, well, I kind of want to finish up the test prep just so if they ever have to write a test, they don't freak out about it. We're going to go through these test books just to see. Or I kind of want them to do, their handwriting and stuff, okay? So it's not that difficult, but I think I just put so much pressure on myself that it's this huge emotional thing to me. So that I have to work on and I have to figure that out. So I put on them their reading and math. So in order to do that, and last year I taught math from math books. Finally, my youngest was just all over me one day, and it was divine intervention because I avoided this app, the Synthesis AI tutoring app. I avoided it like the plague. I didn't like it, didn't like the concept of it, didn't want anything to do with it for about a year and a half. And then my son was all over me one day, or like, it's just too much. And I was like, here, try this app. Try this, see if this, like, in my head, entertains you for 5 minutes or something like that. And he did. And the problem is, so he's 7, and he finished the app, and it only goes up to, like, grade 6. And he completely finished it in, like, a couple months. So you don't need to purchase it forever, just a couple months. But now I don't know what to do with him. But it's very easy to be like, okay, do math. And it's $55 a month, though, so for all the kids. And I kind of want that bill gone. But they're still doing that, so every day they got to do math. Well, now I don't know what to do with him because now he's, like, finished it. So now we play a math game. But, like, I got to find something. So I'm thinking maybe teaching textbooks. Now, my favorite curriculum, and I bought all the math curriculums, except for Saxon math because the samples of it, I can't do Saxon math. I grew up on it. Math's not my thing. Is primary mathematics 1 hands down in every category. Well, now I don't know what level he's at. And I don't know what to do. So I have to figure that out. So maybe I'll just do another online thing. My point is that if you can't get it together, if you are like me, and no judgment, if you can get it together, hey, good on you. That's the goal. Is to do something where it's automatic. So every day. So it has to have an app. It cannot be a computer thing. It has to have an app. So that I can say, okay, go, all right, go do your math app. You know what I'm saying? And so at least they're doing math every single day of the year for at least 5 days. It's just a habit. It's like a chore they have to do. And then they have to read something every day. So at the very least, they're doing that. And then, of course, I do sit down with them every single meal. And at the very least, I'm reading to them twice a day, every day of the year. Almost 3 times every day of the year. But anyway, let's go back. Okay, so this week I decided to do manner and spelling and grammar again because I really want to finish up Canada Day. We did, again, that other compendium. We talked about the Canadian flag. We read some atlases. We watched a couple YouTube videos, and then they're watching right now Inspector Gadget because that's what I grew up on when I was a kid. But so Wednesdays, that's a day where I pick it, and then we have this Popic map. 1 poster, 200 stickers for different countries. So when we cover a country, I'm going to fill it in. It was just, I waited for years. I had it for years. And now I finally put it up. And so today, Canada, I thought would be fitting just because I was born in Canada, even though I'm a United States citizen now. I was born in Canada, so Canada would be the first day I do. So that's going to be day number 1. And then understand that I don't always put as hard work in as I did for Canada. Like, I got grease laying around. You saw it. I'm like, okay, here's a couple YouTube videos I found, and I got a couple books on it. Like, so I have a couple in reserve just so that every Wednesday we can cover a country. Every Wednesday, for the most part, we can cover a country somehow. yeah, so today I want to do art history. I guess I'll show you in art history if you want to see it. Art history is, this video is probably getting way too long. So this is a book I got a 5 and below, completely out of the blue. Spot the difference, $5. So, but the thing is I had to do research. So this is not a husband and wife. This is American, I believe, if I recall correctly. It is a father and daughter. Father and daughter, she's quote unquote an old maid. And so it's just the history behind some of these photos. That's kind of the art history that I was going with. But I have like so many good, a couple other good, really good art histories. But this just, and then if they want to spot the differences, it kind of makes it a little more interactive. And so I went and printed stuff off the internet, which right now my printer's not working that well. So that is unfortunate. My husband's supposed to clean it. But it's a brilliant printer. Whatever. I guess everything needs a clean. So I decided I want to do some art history. So at snack, we'll cover art history. And then, yeah, I mean, that's it. And then table work, we'll be reading and math this week. Again, getting them used to that new bin I filled up of books. And lunch, we'll do Story of Jesus. I really like reading the story of Jesus' people. And then, 4th of July, we got a lot of stuff going on. Just our family. And then next week, so they'll post the collab video. That's my thing. Post that. Make sure that's up. But other than that, we got that going on. And then I will fill in this as planned. So anyway, it's kind of cool. I find it fascinating to plan now that I've looked at it. Instead of something I have to do, it's something that I'm doing for self-care. It's something that's creative. I hope this helps you. I don't know if you've watched this video and you were like, now I'm more overwhelmed than ever. Or you're like, even if I half-ass it, we'll make it through. I have no idea. But at the very least, I hope you got something out of it. And if you have any questions, always leave in the comments. If you want to see a video on something, leave in the comments and we'll see if I can pull it off. Okay, take care and have a great day. And don't forget to check out Danielle's Perfect Home, the video. I will link it at the end of this video, so you're probably seeing it above my head or next to my head or around my head at some point right now.